Okay, so here we have an EFM S20 stoker, and this has the early style cast iron gearbox. And some people have wondered how the oil is changed or what other points might need periodic lubrication. Well, the drain plug on this gearbox is the lower unit, and this is the fill. The correct oil level is part way up this 90-degree street elbow that's screwed in. So if you take the plug out, you look in, you'll see the oil just below the threads here. A quick tip, an easy way to fill this is not by just dribbling it through this elbow. With the fill and drain plug removed, you can take a 1-quart bottle of gear oil, stick that in through the drain plug, fill the unit until it's slightly over full, and when you remove it, let it drain down to the correct level and put the drain plug in, kind of like the lower unit on an outboard engine. I believe the original oil that was recommended was a 20 weight or SAE 20 grade machine oil. It's kind of similar to a torque fluid or hydraulic oil. It's not easy for everyone to find. Modern multi-viscosity gear oil works fine. Gear oils have come a long way since when this gearbox was developed. Most things you find on the shelf now are compatible with yellow metals and bronze thrust washers and things like that, which was probably a concern when this was designed. One other thing to keep in mind, this large screw you have on the end, a lot of times people think that is the fill plug for the gearbox and they mess around with that. That actually adjusts the kind of the backlash or the end play on the worm shaft that's in this gearbox. So if you have an older gearbox and you grab the input shaft here and you yank on it back and forth and you find that there's some end play in this, this needs to be adjusted. There's a set screw here on the side. You loosen that and turn this clockwise to reduce the amount of play that's in the gearbox. A little bit goes a long way. You only want to do it enough so that there's no visible play in the shaft. And when you turn the unit back on, make sure that it runs smooth, there aren't any weird noises or anything. Another way to check for that, when the unit is running and it's under load, if you watch this Lovejoy coupling, it should not move to the left or right at all. And as far as other things that need to be lubricated, there's 3 oil ports. There's one here, there's one here, and there's also one here. I'm not sure what the manual even recommends, but a couple times a season is fine, and probably more than most of them get. The check pawl and drive pawl, do not lubricate them with gear oil. You want to use something very light, like WD-40 or Croil or even solvent. I mean, the main objective is to make sure that the shafts they rotate on are nice and clean and they're not sticky. Otherwise you'll end up with it skipping teeth on the drum gear. And as far as the oil bath, I don't think it's real picky about what kind of oil you put in there. I mean, I just keep it all the same and use 75-90 gear lube in both. And I change that once a season. I mean, if you're in a real dusty area, you may have to do it more often than that. If you run a cover over the stoker and keep the area pretty clean, you could probably go a couple seasons. And I think that's about it for the lubrication on this unit.